another edition of At the Wicket. I'm your host, Cavalli Arnold. Tonight, we will be dissecting the preview for West Indies USA's game for tomorrow. Now, it should be an electrifying encounter, given it's a do or die situation, probably for any team that win or any team that loses for the Super 8s and the semifinals. We look forward to that. Now, I am joined here with West Indies analyst Joseph Reds Perriera and West Indies analyst and a USA correspondent, I might say, in Clayton Lambert. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, good here. Good evening.
Yeah, as we look forward to the Super 8s of the ICC T20 Men's World Cup, this clash between USA and the West Indies for tomorrow is, well, it's said to be an iconic one at Kensington Oval, given the form of both teams and what's on the line for both teams. Um, First, let's just do a quick recap of of USA's journey, and just do a quick recap of USA's journey and their loss to South Africa, and how much dent that would put coming into the game against the West Indies. First, Clayton, what's your take on their journey so far?
I I thought that I wasn't as much a believer as you were, but I recently took one of our academy teams in the T20 tournament in Georgia, a open tournament, and we got to the semifinals, the quarterfinals. And because of that journey, I thought that US could actually repeat the same thing. And I mean, right now the USA is playing with house money,
Yeah,
right? The most important thing I think so far is that US have already qualified for the 2026 World Cup,
yeah, and that's key.
right? That's already achieved. Every victory, every run, every good performance by every player now is a total bonus. And the US have nothing to lose, so I think West Indies have to be mindful, and because those guys are gonna just play free.
Yeah, and they're coming off the back of a loss to South Africa. They played well, and we'll touch a little bit close on that when we look at close at the preview, and but lost in the end. Uh, and if we should look at the West Indies, they came into that last game against England on the back of, I think, 8 or 9 straight wins, and losing to England last night in bizarre fashion, right? Red, you were at the game. What's your take on West Indies' performance in a nutshell?
Very disappointing in a nutshell. Very disappointing. The batting was meek. We soaked up what I think 51 dot balls. If you look at the number of deliveries that were not scored off, if you look at the very slow rate of the partnership between um, Johnson Charles and Puran. Um, they got totally bogged down, and we the one moment where we scored heavily and quickly, which is important, in amassing a total which should have gone over 200, was in fact when Powell took 20 off Livingstone, but then threw his wicket away. The Mobby got too sweet. He should have taken a single, keep the strike, and
Yeah,
then Rutherford really delighted the crowd with a little cameo, 27. He really looked the part. I mean, he handled the fast bowlers very well, um, and I think our, our bowling was very indisciplined. I mean, I made a note between Shepard, Azari Joseph, and Russell. We gave away 94 runs. You know, you aren't going to beat anybody with that kind of performance. We just needed one batsman to play an X factor role and get us up to 200 plus. If you want to beat anybody in these days, you know, you even safe with 200 depending who you're playing against.
Yeah.
It was
And I
a
must
night.
ask you, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
No, it
I
was.
wanted to ask you about the batting performance, as you just said, it was a bit abysmal. A lot of talk around the Caribbean around Johnson Charles. It was his home ground. What was the sentiment like, you know, from the fans there in terms of his performance or lack thereof in the two games in terms of after the power play, he just can't get the ball away.
Well, he's never been a good player of spin. You know, I think he likes the pitch conditions at the Darren Sammy. The ball comes on to him, and you know he plays in one way. He plays one way, gets across the line, he goes towards corner and mid wicket, but he's totally alien to spin. I mean, when Ali came on, he just couldn't get the ball away. But he has almost 1,000 runs at the Darren Sammy. You know, so he didn't come in with a great performance, but it was felt that the selectors would have kept him. The selectors would have kept him. There was a lot of people on the social media saying that maybe Hope should come in to open with King. It'll be a better opening pair. Well, we now have lost King. I don't know for how many matches, but he seemed to be in a great deal of pain. Bit of a side strain, which sometimes, as Clayton knows, might take a little while to sort of get
Yeah,
over.
yeah, they take some time to heal. And we
Yeah.
will touch a little bit more on the combinations, given that King went down last night, and how we will change those dynamics going forward. But if we should look at where the group is placed currently, it's a do or die tomorrow. And the US, as you said, Clayton is playing with house money, but West Indies would not want to take them lightly. You said that just now. What do you think will be their sort of matchup, the US against the West Indies, given all those frailties that um, Reds just alluded to? Do you think maybe
Well,
they'll come in with spin early, Clayton, against the likes of Johnson Charles?
Could you repeat?
Yeah, I'm saying that given all that Reg just said about the frailties of West Indies, what will the strategy be like for the US against the West Indies? Could we see spin early against the likes of Johnson Charles despite Nachavalka and Ali Khan doing well up front?
Okay, so the video is lagging really badly, so I'm not getting the question clearly.
All right. Whilst we get that sorted, let me just jump back to Reds. Reds, we saw with no West, the US have Netravalka and Ali Khan up front, that they always use. But given the dynamics and seeing how poorly Johnson Charles may be playing spin, do you think the US strategy will change against the likes of Johnson Charles? Because more than likely he'll be one of the openers tomorrow. Or will their strategy change any at all, playing the likes of the West Indies?
well, I think they may start with their off spinner or of the left arm spinner. I think they have both. But just to come back to the U.S. performance against South Africa,
Yeah.
it was game on for them. I mean, they had a very good chance of causing one of the biggest upsets in the World Cup. They took them down to the 19th over. Now, against that, West Indies lost to India and lost badly. Lost badly. So, whose confidence is going to be higher? Um, West
I think
Indies,
the
of
US
course,
will be. Yeah,
much
with
higher.
that said, Reds, go ahead. I think we're
Yeah,
lagging a bit. Go ahead.
um, the West Indies is a ICC test playing country, but this this U.S. team, Anderson, Corey Anderson hasn't yet really chipped in, um, and I think if he plays a good hand along with Gosh and the rest, Jones failed the last. He might respond, but they will go into this game with a fair amount of confidence. There are all kinds of suggestions now that the West Indies should make changes. Some people are saying that you got to bring in Shamar Joseph, that Azari Joseph is a question mark, and that well, Hope for King straight away, McCoy for Shepherd. Those are the three changes that is being knocked about on the talk show.
Yeah.
We just have to wait and see what will be the final 11. But
And with that being said, Reds, just before you move on from that, you just mentioned the potential three changes. How many of those changes would you make if you were in Darren Sammy's position?
well, I think Shepherd really has got to be replaced. They like Shepherd because he has the ability to come at the bottom, at the back end, as they say. Now, the language of commentary has gone, it's gone very far. They like the fact that he can come and face 10 balls and get 40. But
Yeah.
uh, if he makes that, but he gives away 50 or he gives away 40, you're not gaining. You're not gaining. And I think he was picked for that reason. Now, I felt that here was a man who had to rush back to Guyana for the birth of his baby. Um, had to pack up, catch a plane, or get there, saw his wife, and then scramble back, get a plane, long ride back to the airport, because they probably, I don't know if he was in Berbice. Was he ready mentally for an international game? Um,
Or not for a Super 8 game.
yeah. Super 8 game is an international game in the Super 8. Was he ready mentally? I don't know. But I think definitely Shepherd has got to be replaced. McCoy has got to come back. Some people are saying McCoy should have been playing in the first place based on his performance in the last game. And
Yeah.
when will they in fact expose Sharma Joseph? It was the fastest pitch in the Caribbean. And this was the venue to play Sharma Joseph and see how he goes.
Yeah, I was surprised in that game against Afghanistan where there was nothing on the line, and if you wanted to expose Shamar Joseph, that was a good game for you to expose him and maybe even rest an Azari Joseph for that game and then bring him back for the Super 8s. So the
Exactly.
fact that they didn't bring him in, as you just said, it was the fastest pitch in the Caribbean. I'm not looking to see him in the competition anymore. I'm going to be frank. I think I think we have to look at Obed McCoy coming in because what he brings, the same thing they're saying, if he's going to lead those runs, as you said there, what he brings in terms of being a back end bowler, a more dead over bowler, he's way better um, than Sir Shepherd. I'm just seeing here, Reza just sent something in. Let's see if we can take up something on that. I don't know, Clayton, I don't know if you're hearing me quite clearly, but if King is out for the rest of the tournament, should we see Kyle Mayers come in for his first match? Would that be something you'd subscribe to?
Yes, I think that's the talk around that if King is out for a couple of weeks, um, that that mayors will in fact come in. I think there are five standbys. They haven't quite named them. You are getting bits and pieces of information who they are, but I don't know officially who they are. But I think mayors is one of them, and there must be a medical statement with King. He seemed to be in a lot of pain, and it's not just um, a stomach muscle. He seemed to have something a lot more serious.
Yeah, and Clayton, if we should look at the three, so if Kyle Mayers come in, we're looking at Shea Hope on the bench, and we're looking at Jonathan Charles still in the 11. Out of those three, which two would you see coming in, or which two would you, maybe even from a US perspective, given that you have some US connections now, I must say, which two would you not want to see?
Okay. So at the beginning of the tournament, the way Charles was batting, I I did not think he should retain his place. However, between the third game and the Afghanistan game, I thought that the batting coach did a really good job with Charles. His bat is starting to come down much straighter, and he's starting to get behind the ball and play, with a vertical bat through the onside. So I thought he did a good job with him. After the power play, he's getting stuck, and if he can fix his technique, I think he can fix the way that he's approaching batting after the power play. Now, Mayors, I always like Mayors, right? And if West Indies should bring Mayors in, I would have no complaints whatsoever. However, if they bring in Hope, what I would suggest is that Chase opens, because Chase has proven that he can open and he can score quickly, and let Shea Hope bat at number 4.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting if we can have that sort of dynamic. We will see when the playing 11 is named and what West Indies, the direction that West Indies will go in. The US, we did not see the captain in the last game. The usual captain, Aaron Jones, was also standing for that game. I don't know what his fitness levels are. Um, do you see him coming back in at if he's fit? I don't know what percentage of fitness he's at or whatever.
Well, I mean,
And
Monank is the captain, and if he's
yes,
fit enough to play, I'm sure that he will play, because he has brought the team together, and they played really well in the first half prior to his injury. So, we're all hoping that he's fit enough to play. However, even though we haven't seen Cheyenne go as yet,
yeah,
Cheyenne, the guy that has replaced him, is a dangerous batsman.
yeah, and that's
I
something
mean,
we're gonna get to. Give me a second, Clayton. We're gonna get to Chen Van Schalkwyk in a bit, but
okay.
we're gonna get to him right after this. If that change is made now, Stephen Taylor has not been pulling up trees. When Manan comes back in, what is Stephen Taylor maybe one not in the best form? Could we see him going out because Gauss had such a brilliant performance at the top of the order in the last game? What do we see, or we just see maybe that change is made lower down and we go back to what the original playing formation was?
Well, Stephen brings the left-right opening combination, right?
Mhm.
Um, he did not make a lot of runs against South Africa, but he assisted in getting the team off to a flyer.
Yeah.
And Ghost has performed wherever he has been batting, whether number three or opening. So I don't think it makes a difference where Ghost bats. And if Stephen fails, I mean Ghost is in early anyhow.
Yeah.
But Stephen is the off spin option for the US. And that is one of the key reasons he's there. Because you can get a couple overs in off spin. Huh?
So we are seeing, we are looking at Stephen Taylor being in the team, regardless if Manan comes in, because of he brings so much different elements to the team. You wouldn't want to move him from there.
Yeah, because you start with a left and right. You're making a bowler change, adjust his line, and also, like I said, he's a quality off spinner. I mean, we might see him as a part timer, but he can do some damage bowling off spin.
Okay, and let's just jump to your guy, Chadley Van Chalquick. He you like him a lot. I see from what you're saying. Could we look at him coming into the playing 11? Maybe for ahead of who? Jesse Singh, or how we see that?
Well, if he comes in, I guess it's gonna be to replace Jesse. I mean, up until the last game, Jesse was bowling really well, but Chad has a lot of change ups and stuff that I think is gonna be very very important bowling to that South Africa lineup.
All right. So, well, let's we'll see how that plays out in terms of the dynamics of the team for that. But let's just get some predictions in terms of this game, because when we look at the group, if one of these teams lose tomorrow, it could be curtains for them. Um, so yeah. Now
Well,
let's start with you, Reds. In
if
terms of your prediction for this game tomorrow.
if the West Indies don't bowl better, USA could be a handful because they got runs against quality a quality South Africa attack. Although I thought that Sam C should have never bowled the fourth over. I thought that was bad captaincy. He gave away a lot of runs. He was very, very short. Sam C is back of the hand, always going to trouble batsmen. But I think, you get 3 overs of Sam C, you got to say, right, fine. We can't risk the fourth over. It was very expensive. But the US has got to go in there with a lot of confidence. Um, the West Indies have just been beaten badly, and the crowd is going to be split, because of Jones playing. The crowd is going to be split. Um, because, of course, you have that situation where he's being promoted to help draw the crowd. So they did play so well against Canada. They played so well against South Africa. They have been the surprise of of the World Cup so far. Um, and as Clayton said, they're really qualified for the next World Cup. So it's a very positive picture. What side the West Indies will pick, I think they they should have made a few changes against Uganda. I thought they should have introduced a few people so that everybody would have had some cricket. At least 13 of the 15 would have had some cricket before they got Trinidad to finish up. They were reluctant to change the 11, reluctant to change the 11. And now you have a situation where you are forced to change. Um, you know, uh, Tamar Joseph has had no cricket. Hetmai has had no cricket. McCoy has had one game. Chase is in, Chase is out. So I think they did not maybe make the changes they should have made. Now the pitch in Barbados is not a good one. It's very up and down. I saw the game today. It looked like you know a very hard kind of muddy track with no grass at all. I don't know if you
Mm.
saw it. So it just maybe is going to be a spinner's pitch.
Yeah, and I see Reza here. Reza here is advocating for Hope to be in, given that the pitch in Barbados is lower than the pitch in St. Lucia.
Yes,
Just comment on that for me.
well, Hope knows that Kensington trick in the back of his hand. What y'all were talking about? Who should open for USA? Who should open for the West Indies? Uh, do you go for a left-right combination, or do you simply replace the injured King with Hope and Charles?
Yeah, that's where I would go. I would go with the injured King for Hope and Charles to bring him in. But then again, you want to get off to that flyer, and you may be looking at that left-right combination. But I would go for that Hope King before we Hope Charles. I might add, not Hope King. Before I go to you, Clayton, for your predictions, I just want to point something out. Um, and as you said, Reds, in terms of the confidence, when you're coming into this game with low on confidence because of the hammering that you got from England, that might be a factor. And in comparison to the US, that if it not be for that brilliant over from Rabada that swung the game back into South Africa's favor, you might have been looking at a win for the US. So they would be coming in and say, look, we have already qualified the for the 2026 World Cup. So, and we are playing good cricket. There's nothing to lose here, and a free flowing team like that may just be a very dangerous team against the West Indies here, who just can't seem to bring down their dot ball percentage. So let's see how Netravalka and some of those guys will take at them. Now, Clayton, let's get your analysis, your prediction, I should say. Sorry.
Well, Reds know that when Gordon Greenwich was injured, he was most dangerous, and I think that West Indies are going to make adjustments. I actually believe West Indies is going to bowl better to the USA than South Africa did.
Whoa!
Right? Huh?
No, interesting.
No. I think that they will. I always see South Africa as a stronger batting unit, right? Than bowling. They have good bowlers, but the batting is much more superior than the bowling, and that is one of the reasons why South Africa like to set targets and not chase. Right? South Africa like to set targets. They don't like to chase.
Yeah.
I always believe that the batting is what brings them home.
Hold
And
on.
I am sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you there, but I had to interject because I think what surprised Reds too is the fact that on paper, yes, South Africa is a brilliant batting team. But so far in the World Cup, if you look at all 5 games that they've played, they've edged across the line. You're talking about even playing against team what was it, Nepal, and Nepal really pushed them to the line. So I don't think they are a brilliant unit. So, and their bowling has been on top of the batting and has brought them across the line. So
Yes, but
uh,
remember that
Mhm.
this is the best wicket that South Africa has played on so far, and their batting hasn't really had good practice, right? The wickets that they played on in New York was substandard at best, right? And Barbados wicket wasn't, let's say, St. Lucia. Okay, so they're still trying to find their foot, but let's say that the bowling is brilliant, right? Then
Yeah.
when they bowl Nepal, if the batting is struggling, the bowling should bowl Nepal out to 60.
Yeah, and I think
Because
that is why Reds was shocked because if you're, if, I don't know, can the West will the West Indies is the West Indies a better bowling team on paper, and will they perform better bowling wise? Not talking about batting now than South Africa.
listen, this is just my opinion, but I
Yes,
do believe that the West Indies is going to bowl better to the US than South Africa did. Remember, for one, home conditions, right? South
yeah,
African wickets and surfaces that they bowl on are a whole lot different to West Indies, right? In South Africa, the ball swings a lot, and all South African seamers move the ball both ways. In the West Indies, it don't,
yeah.
right? Ambrose and those guys don't bowl no big swingers. They hit a length, and then you have to know the length because every wicket has a perfect length for bowling, and it has the length that you can score on.
And that's what we see the West Indies doing tomorrow, bowling
I
that
think
sort
the
of way. Yeah,
West Indies will know the West Indies length and bowl that length much better than South Africa did. Even though South Africa have quality fast bowlers. But that's
But
just my view.
listen, they
yeah.
didn't bowl any length against England. They were all over the shop. By the way, can I give you a
Yeah.
score?
No,
Bangladesh
no,
are
yeah, go ahead.
84 for 4 in the 13th over.
Where are they playing? In Barbados?
Against
Right in
Australia.
St. Vincent, which is favoring the spinners.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
Yeah.
now, like I said, right? South African fast West Indian seamers are going to bowl better in the West Indies than South Africa seamers.
And that
And
should give them the win tomorrow.
yeah, don't forget. Okay, let's go back to that West Indies game with England, right?
Yeah.
There are a couple of little things that happened that started to change England's fortunes, right? The first one was when King went down. King went down at a time when West Indies had started to go after them,
Yeah.
right? And if after the power play between Charles and King, King is the man that's gonna go and do damage, and we lost him, right? Puran is is caught in between trying to be very aggressive and trying to make sure he's batting through the innings,
Yes. I could see that.
right? So now Charles didn't really seize the initiative, and it started to drift away, right? The next thing that happened, that little edge of Hussein of Salt,
On the edge that Puran dropped.
it no, it was actually a bottom edge, but it hit the gloves and it went leg side. If that ball came offside, he was going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And those are two little things that changed the fortunes. I mean, I don't think that West Indies played the par, but I am not ready to ridicule them because I think that after from the New Zealand game, West Indies started to bowl well, and they after the Rutherford innings, they all started to take responsibility and put more runs on the board. But
Right.
in Trinidad, they bowled really well to New Zealand because it was a crunch game.
All right. So with that being said, we have an interesting game set up for tomorrow. We see West Indies seizing the initiative and taking that game to get to continue their quest for the Super 8. However, the US team cannot be taken for granted. They have pushed all teams they've played so far in the competition, and they might just show up on West Indies tomorrow. And remember, Aaron Jones, hometown, in his hometown, he might just sprinkle something there. So we
Um,
all have to tune in and see what will happen tomorrow.
if I
Red,
could if I
any
could
last words?
yes,
Yes,
just before I say good night to you, to your panel, great to see Clayton, highly regarded in the Caribbean as fearless, like Roy Fredericks. He attacked the ball. Um, we must not forget there's a very important game tomorrow. South Africa, England, you
yes,
know. Um, and from a West Indies point of view, West Indies probably would like to see England keep winning so that
yeah,
a lot of people are competing for the second spot. So that's a crucial game, and it's a day game, 10:30, and it's gonna take some watching. Anyhow, was a pleasure to be part of the program, and here's hoping that we see a quality game between the U.S. and the West Indies, not a one-sided game. Let's hope that we see runs coming out of the game. Uh, People getting over 170, 180. Uh, who bats first, I don't know. But here's hoping it's not a low scoring game. Good night, Clayton, and good night, um,
yes.
my colleague. And I look forward to your email so I can send you all something that the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States did on a documentary. Okay, good
All right.
evening.
Yes,
Good
good
night to you,
evening.
Reds.
We know the US don't give one-sided game. They'll be in the contest and they'll be pushing the West Indies. So there you have it, guys. If you have not yet subscribed, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And let's look forward to that game. West Indies against the US in Barbados. That is lining up to be a cracker. Yes, in the morning, we'll have South Africa playing England, and you can tune into that one as well. Good night.